Let's talk about mental health issues and things like that, and how to spot your own decline. Now, let's start with the very root, the very thing you will notice you're doing first. If you were walking down the street, in fact, let's do an experiment right now. Let's do an experiment right now, right? Think of a person you don't like, but you have to deal with, right? Think of something you'd have to do with them, a job maybe, give them a present, pay money back, anything, right? That you know would create an issue, right? Or you think might create an issue, even better. Now, you imagine you've got to do that tomorrow. Now, go over all the scenarios in your head, right, which might happen when you go to do that tomorrow. Now, as you go through it, if you're doing the experiment properly, you'll start to get stressed. It'll start to bother you. Come tomorrow, you go and do it, nothing happens. That, right there, is how you start to notice you're on the decline. Because if you're actually thinking of these scenarios ahead of time before they even be a thing, when they might never happen, you're basically inviting in madness. You're saying, "Come on in, madness. Yeah, let's have a party in my head," right? Because it gets worse. It doesn't get better. It leaves you feeling miserable. It leaves you feeling depressed. It leaves you feeling stressed. It starts with that. From that point on, it just gets worse until eventually paranoia creeps in. You start thinking everybody's out to get you. And then when people don't call, you're thinking they don't love you, they're not interested in you, they're just using you. So you start to mistreat them. Suddenly you're pushing your friends away. And you go through these cycles of doubt and, until you basically, you don't appreciate your own worth. You undermine yourself until you're at a point where you consider yourself worthless, or you think nobody sees your worth, and you feel cheated. Either way, it's an entirely negative feeling. You're in a situation, a vicious spiral, where you are sabotaging your own life. And it all starts with these scenarios in your head. Going through these scenarios, you might be walking down the street thinking, what if so and so came down to see me and asked about this bag, this book, this video, this whatever? Right? Suppose you borrowed a book off somebody and you lost it. Buy them a new one. Problem solved. You damage the DVD, replace it. Problem solved. Right? These are scenarios. If you said to somebody, "Sorry mate, I had your DVD but it got broke. I'll buy you a replacement," right? Problem solved. They'll respect you more because you just owned up to it and you're going to do something about it. And this is the key. It's not enough to apologise. You've got to mean it, and you've got to mean you won't do it again, right? Or you will fix the damage. An apology without those things is actually a worthless apology. But anyhow, you start seeing your decline coming by realising you're doing these things to yourself. Right? So if you catch yourself constantly going through scenarios, stop. Know that it just gets worse from that point on. Right? You need to be thinking of solutions, not scenarios. You've got a problem, find a solution. This is a test of intelligence, finding solutions to problems. So it'll do you good. It'll be like a workout for your brain, how to solve a problem. The more you do it, the better you'll be at it, and the less problems you'll have, the more stable you'll be. Now, regarding the people don't call, they can't love you, they can't like you, they must hate you. They don't call. People don't. I mean, you go months, years, and not hear from people, and suddenly you see them, and it's like the men's like you've never been apart. I would add to that if you don't try and maintain a relationship, that relationship will fade and die. But I'm old enough to know that. There are people that say, you see an old friend after years, and it's like you've never been away. Says that's friendship. No, no, no. That's rehashing what you did in the past. Eventually, you'll get bored of talking about what you did at 18, and you just have nothing to say. You've got to keep maintaining relationships, but it is natural for people not to ring, not to call. It happens all the time. That's nothing to do with you. It's nothing. It's not an issue you need to overly concern yourself with, right? You might ring them because you want to see how they are. They might not ring you because they might not feel the same way. They might not be as invested in you as you are in them, right? And this is where the problems arise because you want to be more invested in a particular person, and they're not. They don't feel the same way, and suddenly they don't like you. It's not they don't like you. They just prioritise you differently from how you prioritise them, and that leads to bad feeling, which is another source of stress, another source of issue. So if they don't make the same effort with you, you need to just rein it in a bit, you know. So because once you've established how much effort they want to make, that's the level you're at with them. Stick to that level. Don't do more than they want because you'll just annoy them, right? Don't do less because then you're abandoning them. Do the same amount back, right? This way people will get what the effort they put in. And you don't have to hate them for not ringing you. There's no black and white here that says that you have to hate their guts because they haven't rang you in 2 months. Just lower the priority in your life, you know. If you're not a high enough priority in their life for them to be in touch with you all the time, don't be in touch with them all the time. Simple as that. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to be your enemy. You don't have to make death threats. Just respond in kind. Find those people that like you for you, that want to contact you, and focus on them. For example, I'm going round for dinner at a mate's house in about an hour's time. He makes an effort with me, I make an effort with him. The people who actually try the hardest with me are the people I'm now focusing on. That was my New Year's resolution this year, is to focus on the people that make an effort with me. And I've been doing that. The people that haven't made an effort with me don't really hear from me that much anymore. I'm leading a different life now from what I've been leading just 3 or 4 months ago. And whilst it takes some getting used to, you know, I'm not leaving houses disappointed, you know, because I've been invited down to Christmas parties and end up walking out because they were just really bad hosts. Right? I've never had that issue anymore. People invite me down because they want me there. They don't invite me down out of some warped sense of loyalty. They invite me down because they want me there. And as a consequence, I have a lot more fun. My life is building itself up again into something it should be. And I think by not focusing on the negative, and I don't mean just like put on a happy face and go, I'm happy, you can do anything you like to me, this armour of happiness will protect me. I don't mean that. That's fucking delusional nonsense, right? I mean, you just don't let the bad stuff bring you down. The bad stuff usually is an illusion anyway. Most of the time it's people overthinking, and we all overthink to a degree, but it's really a bad thing to do. And to be honest, the penny drops for me, right, says with that particular thing. When I was working, doing a really boring job at night, doing night shift, didn't get to talk to many people. I was just out in the middle of a car park for 12 hours overnight. And I realised that if I went through scenarios in that environment, by morning I'd be ready to kill people or jump off a bridge. So I learned to stop. And I realised, the penny drops at that point, that if I stopped going through scenarios, I was actually happier for it. It made me better. It allowed me to enjoy life a little bit better. Now I'm patrolling wide areas at night, usually on my own, and it's so peaceful and relaxing. No scenarios in my head because I don't let them enter. And I might start the shift angry, I finish it content because I followed the advice in this video. And frankly, sometimes, you know, when you go for a walk when you're angry and you're going through scenarios of who said what said when, you're not really dealing with the point. You know, you're not really getting to the point. You're just nitpicking, right? And you'll finish the walk stressed out. But if you go for that walk, think, no, I'm not doing scenarios. I'm just going to take some deep breaths, look for solutions, When you find a solution, you'd be greatly relieved. You know, the problem will go away, right? You don't go through scenarios. You look for the cause of the problem, solve that problem, move on. Suddenly it walks the way of solving problems and getting healthy at the same time. I'm actually more healthy than people half my age at work. I walk further than them. I do more than them. I've got a better work ethic than them. And people have noticed. And this is because, you know, when you don't allow these dark things creeping in, you don't allow it to undermine your perception of life, jobs and friends and family. Although we all do it, even I've done it, right? Says I think this positivity comes from not forcing positivity, but by denying negativity. Keep that in mind. See you in the next one.